So let's look at this Thursday night game. You've got Tampa Bay at St. Louis. On paper, maybe not a game that you want to focus too much, but there's always a great thing about Thursday night games, and that is tournaments, GPPs, the guaranteed prize pools. Geoff, talk to me about what a tournament play would be for you in this game, and if there's any cash game considerations at all.
Yeah, I mean, this is the big mustard versus ketchup game. The big color flow uniforms that are going on. So this will be good to watch either way. But yeah, there's a lot of good Monday, Thursday tournaments. So I think there's a couple different plays. I think Vincent Jackson is going to be out. I don't think Vincent Jackson's going to be out. He's going to be out of this game, which means that you should see Austin Seferian-Jenkins get a big bump in targets. His playing time's been going up the last couple weeks since he came back from injury. His targets have gone up a little bit too. So he hasn't put up that big game yet, but this game sets up like a good spot for Seferian-Jenkins. He's going to probably be more relied on more with no Vincent Jackson. So I expect him to play more snaps. He's only 3,400 and the Rams haven't been great against the tight end the last little bit. They've given up a few 100-yard games to the position actually. And they're hurting a little bit on defense. I think they're going to get Janoris Jenkins back, but they're still without a couple of their front line. So I do like Seferian-Jenkins in this matchup, especially as a tournament play. As a cash game play, if you're just playing Thursday night slates, I'm not sure. Or if you're playing like a full slate, I'm not sure if I'd touch this game. But the Rams D might be kind of interesting too at only 2,700. They're at home. The Bucs are kind of coming off a disappointing loss, so we're not sure how they'll respond.
All right. Adam, talk to me about ASJ because a lot of people fell into this trap last week. Do you think it's another trap this week?
Yeah, I mean, ASJ is soft, man. Let's just put that out there. I mean, this dude, like, I don't know. Like, yeah, I think he'll get a bump in targets with Vincent Jackson out, but I don't expect him to play more than 50 to 60% of the snaps. Cameron Brate's been playing well for the Bucs. So I don't know. Like, there's guys like Zach Miller and Will Tye who are seeing a higher percentage of the snaps and seem more like real men to me. So, I think that I rostered Seferian-Jenkins last week, and I wasn't pleased with my decision. I thought that, his floor is lower than these other guys who are playing so much more. So with an elevated price, I prefer to go with real men.
Real men. Is there anybody else in this game that you would consider targeting for tournaments?
Yeah, I think Mike Evans is flying under the radar as just a talented guy. The way that you should be able to beat the Rams is through the air, and I don't expect much to get going out of Doug Martin in this game on Thursday. So, yeah, I think Mike Evans, has frustrated people lately, but should see 10, 12 targets in this game at least.
All right. Andrew, you're the tight end whisperer. Give us your thoughts on this game in ASJ.
Yeah, I mean, last week you were looking at ASJ's price, 2,700, somewhere around there. It's up to 3,400, which really takes him out of consideration for me. I'd like to see him playing more snaps and just more production out of him before I'm using him in cash games. This game has a 41 total for the over-under. I don't think there's going to be a lot to like as far as from a fantasy perspective. I think it's a good time if you want to get some action out there. That's great. But you can wait and fill out your roster for Sunday because I think that people playing people tonight are probably going to be not scoring a lot of fantasy points. So I'm going to be passing on this game.
Well, the good thing is about daily fantasy is that you have that entertainment aspect. So if you want to see some of these studs, even though Vegas doesn't think this is going to be a high-scoring game, even though we don't really think it's going to be a high-scoring game, if you still want to have some entertaining rooting aspects, you've got plenty of options in this game. So with that being said, let's move to Sunday's slate of games. And guys, let's talk about the Jets at the Cowboys.
Saturday.
What's that?
Saturday night.
Sorry.
Thursday night football on Saturday.
Thursday.
Sorry.
That's what it's called.
Yeah. We have so now we've got Saturday games. We've got one this week and one next week as well. And then on week 17, they're all on Sundays. So an interesting slate. So yeah, the Jets at the Cowboys. And we'll take a look from Adam Levitan's perspective first.
Yeah, I mean, people are going to want to use Jets in this game. It's just them going on the road to Dallas, who I think secondary and just their overall defense has just been so underrated all year, playing so slow and also really doing a good job all over the place on wide receivers, on slot receivers, on running backs, on everybody. So I think that Decker and Marshall are going to be very popular. It's not the spot that I really am in love with using them, but this is like the kind of offense that we love to see in fantasy because it's so concentrated. When they get to the red zone, it's going to Marshall or it's going to Decker. And when they move the ball, it's likely through that trio as well, along with Fitzmagic. So I can see the case for Jets in this spot. I'm just not on them.
Yeah, I love Marshall. Andrew, what's your take on this game?
Yeah, I don't know what Fitzpatrick has to do to get his price to come up. He's just locked in at 5,400, even though he's been incredible. Concern Adam has, I think that the game will probably be slow. You worry about how many snaps they're going to play, and that's going to limit the targets that we see for Marshall and Decker. So I think as far as cash games, I'm probably going to stay away from maybe Marshall just because he's been so productive and his price hasn't really come up either. But generally, I'll probably be staying away from this game.
All right. We'll go to Geoff to see what he thinks. Come on, give me a hot take. Tell me that you really like this game, Geoff.
I do like it from the Jets' perspective. I think they can put up some points. I definitely like kind of like Chris Ivory in this matchup. I know he's been splitting a lot of snaps with Bilal Powell. He's been, almost like a timeshare now. Powell is basically the passing back, but you saw what the Green Bay Packers did last week on the ground to the Cowboys. I think Chris Ivory can get going here, and I think at only 5,200, he makes for a pretty interesting GPP pick if you're going to be playing tournaments. So I'm kind of interested in him this week, and I don't think he's going to be very high owned at all because people are so scared of Powell. So don't be shocked if he rips off a big game. I definitely like that play. I am a little bit scared of the Cowboys' pace of play, so I don't think I'd use like a Jets stack in this game. But I mean, Brandon Marshall's going to have Morris Claiborne on him, so I'd be shocked if Brandon Marshall didn't have a good game too. I think it's a good spot for both Marshall and Ivory.